All right, welcome everyone. Here we are doing it again. It's Tom
And Brian.
and we're here with
Jade.
and
Krystle Waller.
and we want to introduce you to two very talented people. And let me send a shout out to anyone listening, and also greetings to everyone from, let's just say, Beijing to Sichuan to Pelzer, South Carolina. All right, ladies, let's get it started with the standard stuff. Let me do rapid fire for all the boring standard stuff. I'm going to ask 5 questions. It pertains to both of you. You answer in whatever order, whoever strikes first, and we'll get them out of the way in about a minute. Where are you from, Jade?
Well, I am from Charlotte. I was just born in Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Krystle?
I'm from Fayetteville, West Virginia.
Okay. I know where that is. Cool. Okay. All right. What's the first or last concert or both you attended? Krystle?
The last concert I saw was Primus in...
Nice.
I think it was the Charlotte show. It might have been the Raleigh show. I saw them back to back.
Excellent. Jade?
First concert I ever saw, I think, was an Eagles cover band, and they were awful. And then the last one I saw...
That's redundant, by the way.
Oh, it was so bad. And the last one I saw, I think, I'm pretty sure it was Beth Hart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I saw Elvis. That's not a joke.
I missed first concert.
Yeah.
That was Chubby Checker.
Chubby
Nice.
Checker?
You're
Yeah.
kidding.
At like a car show when I was 5.
That's awesome. All right.
great, man.
Favorite casual food spot in Charlotte? Jade?
Oh, that's hard. Go to Krystle first.
Krystle?
I like bean vegan cuisine a lot.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking, but Common Market has that the vegan dawn breakfast sandwich, and I am watering at the mouth thinking about it.
Yeah, I like Common Market. And Bean, that's one of the masterminds behind that. Charles, Mr. Chaz Foch, is an old, long-time acquaintance of mine. Quite the wacky dude. How many bands or groups have you been in?
Oh crap, man! I don't know. I think I've been in two bands, and then one duo, and then by myself.
Okay, that's more than me.
Yeah.
Krystle?
I was in high school. I was in a band called Fred, and then I moved to Hilton Head, and I was in a band called Four Piece and a Biscuit, and then in
All this
Charlotte,
is starting to make sense now. The person that went to see Primus, yeah.
Yeah.
in Charlotte, my band was Basements and Attics. We did like 3 different iterations of that with different people, and I backed up Lisa DeNovo for a little bit, and now I'm in a band called Richard.
Cool.
Fred and Richard. Okay.
Yeah, and but I build bands.
Yeah.
So I mean, every time I build a band, I'm kind of in the band.
Yeah.
I've built about 45 bands at this point.
You're like Malcolm
awesome.
McLaren with talent. That's a really old punk joke. All right, last one. True father of reggae, Bob Marley or Peter Tosh? There is a correct answer, by the way. Go ahead.
Oh no, that chicken in the corn guy.
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
don't know what I'm talking
I don't know
about.
what you're talking about.
I sure don't.
Oh man, he's great.
Krystle?
I'm gonna guess not Bob Marley.
Exactly. Thank you for answering. It's Peter Tosh, clearly. The man rode a unicycle. Brian?
All right. Yeah, see, that easy stuff out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
But going back to the, like, not being from here and growing up and you being in, like I said, I thought you were from Tennessee originally, but
Yeah, I lived there for 3 weeks. I was a Navy brat. My dad was stationed in Norfolk, so my mom's side of the family is from just outside Nashville. We lived on the east side.
I got you.
Yeah, and then we moved from there into Roanoke, and then moved to Gastonia, and then
Big naval base in Gaston County.
yeah, right. This is when he got out of the Navy, and
Okay.
then we moved to Mint Hill, and I stayed there for a while till I moved
The
to
old
Plaza.
74 corridor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then what brought you into Charlotte?
Well, when I was 24, I left West Virginia to just like get the hell out. I was
Fair.
not feeling too good in that spot. And,
You mean you didn't want to move
yeah.
to Sun or Rock or Gully Bridge or
Well,
one of
you
those
know-
exotic locales?
All right. I moved to Hilton Head, actually, from there, and I lived at the beach for a bit, and that was really fun. And then I moved here to start a band, and I just wanted to experience being in a city.
Nice.
Do you guys like Charlotte? Do you find it too pretentious or too boring or anything like that?
It depends on where you go. I find a lot of the whole touristy aspect of Charlotte that happens in South End now is kind of, gentrification and tearing down all of
Yeah.
the staples. Doubledoor's gone, Tremont's gone.
Yeah.
So there's like, what's the point in,
I love Tremont. I love
Yeah.
Double Door, but I went to Tremont a lot over the years.
Yeah, Tremont was great. especially for like local metal bands and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
always nice.
Yeah.
Not having to drive all the way to Ground Zero to go see. Like,
Yeah,
your
because
favorite
Ground
band
Zero
play.
is the mecca now.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
it always kind of has been, but it is now, without a doubt.
Well, that's why I'm glad Amos is open back up.
Yeah.
It's not as big, but it doesn't matter.
I think that Charlotte, like when I first moved here, I hated it because it took me so long to find like a friend group,
Yeah.
and it's just everything's so spread out. But when I finally found those people, and then it was also like not very art friendly, it felt like at first. And then
Yeah.
there's a lot of like people pitted against each other. I think it's just to do with the actual physical layout of Charlotte where everything is so spread out.
Yeah, it is very nichey within the like 485 loop. If you don't have like a certain, everything's very, I don't know.
Well, we always grew outward. The urban sprawl, I guess
Yeah.
they call that. And then finally they're learning that all these people that wanted to, and I'm not knocking them, but I'm telling them that what I prophesied came to pass. One of my friends wanted to move to Fort Mill. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. But in 10 years, when they don't have enough roads and their schools are overcrowded and you're starting to have the same issues, now
Yeah.
you'll understand why Charlotte doesn't suck. You know,
Yeah.
every place has got their pros and cons. But
Well,
now
I
we're
love
building
Charlotte now.
upward. We're building in and upward,
Yeah.
like a big city.
And I think that like it's a really awesome space actually for artists because
I
they're
agree.
like
Yep.
it's not
Yep.
like overburdened with like or oversaturated. Like, if you go to like Austin, like we're like a dime a dozen in Austin.
Yeah.
But here, like we can
Oh,
actually
yeah.
flourish and build something that can be
you're
ours.
big fish in a small pond here.
Yep.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's not, like you said, it's not saturated.
People go move to Nashville. So why would I move to Nashville?
Oh, yeah.
Make $50 at a gig and cry into my tip jar at night. Like, oh no, thank you.
Yeah, I had an
It's
offer to
okay.
move to multiple places with a company I worked for back in the 90s, and one of them was New York. I said, no, man, there's 100 of me in every subway car in New York. I'll stay here.
Yeah,
I'm at least a little
absolutely.
unique.
Yeah. No, but I kind of know what Krystle's talking about because I'm not from here originally. When I first moved down here, it was kind of, you didn't know which way to go and where the stuff was. But
Yeah.
now I've been here for 9 years, so I kind of see the art pockets and the bands and.
But you
everything we're doing.
also, and I'm sure Krystle, I'm getting the feeling that Krystle, and I don't, not to say that Jade's not, but Krystle probably came here and made her fortune, so to speak, with, interaction and finding people and finding places and things that were conducive to what she wanted to do. And you did that. Brian came here and he found a karaoke bar that he liked. And from there we met, and it was love at first fart and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is what you make it. I really think so. And it seems like you two have
absolutely.
made it.
Well, I think that the music scene in Charlotte is extremely, just gravitational. It's super easy for you to kind of plug yourself in. Everybody's very welcoming. There was a short-lived period of time, maybe like 10 years ago, where there were like kind of turf wars, and then there were a couple assholes who weren't the nicest people who would kind of make it difficult for you to book somewhere, for you to work with other people.
I was going to ask you, by turf war, do you mean like venues?
Venues. Oh, big time.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. But that stuff, because of the type of people that musicians are, it gets shut down so quick, and the cats that weren't any good got ran out of town real fast.
Well, yeah.
So it's been nice. The camaraderie is nice.
Do you know Ryan Williams?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he promotes a lot of shows and does a
Okay.
lot of heist and a lot of we don't want to say jam band stuff, but it's
that
stuff
Happy
like
Hippie?
that.
Is that the same dude?
No, he works at
what's-
the Vinyl Pie is where he works and stuff.
Okay.
But he books. He just booked the big show at Heist. It was like a month ago. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, he does like jam bands and local bands and stuff like that.
but
That's awesome.
he said he started out not knowing anything, screwing up everything, and then finding that other people were a little bit resistant and downright combative. But he worked his way through it, just like you ladies say you did, and he seems to like it now a
Yeah,
lot.
We had him on last episode, and he said when he started booking shows, they were like, "What time's load in?" And he said, "What's a load in?" And then they were like, "What do I need to plug this in?" And he was like, "What is that?"
And then he
So-
said, "What is a clock?"
Yeah, so he figured it out. But that's how we did with the booking venues. Jade's done some shows I did.
Yeah.
I booked
Oh,
at
yeah.
the Muse and stuff,
Absolutely.
and they've always gotten way better because we've dealt with better venues, or I should say, newer venues and breweries now and that are open to booking music and stuff like that. So the whole Charlotte scene is changing drastically.
Do you book
Oh,
any
yeah.
shows, Krystle? Have you done any of that stuff?
I did when I was doing Basements and Attics. And then, I lived in Hilton Head, and Hilton Head's like weird. I mean, I made bank in Hilton Head
Yeah.
because there's so much money there, and you could just go play the same set every night. And it was just tourism. And then so all the musicians there like save up their money during the season, and then you just kind of sit pretty for a little bit, and then you do it again. So when I moved here, it was like a culture shock. I was like, oh shit, I can't play music for a living in Charlotte. I have to get like a real job. So I started teaching whenever I helped co-found Girls Rock Charlotte, and that like shifted me and more into the education part. And then I stopped playing gigs so much. I had a daughter, and she was just small, and it's like hard to do that when your kid's really little. Just, you know, the lack of
You're
sleep
telling me
and all
that babies and kids are small at first? They don't just look like me when they come out?
No, well,
Grotesque and
hopefully
large?
not. Hopefully not.
No kidding. Tell us more about the teaching stuff. Do you have an educational background? Did you go to college for that? Or
No, I actually went to college for graphic design, but
Okay.
I just went to the premise of Girls Rock is in 1 week, girls and gender diverse youth, they learn an instrument, they form a band, they write an original song. At the end of the week, they have a show. And we do all of this at the Blumenthal Performing Arts Center in Uptown at Spirit Square. And in the first year of that, I just saw like all these kids. Like at that first year, the youngest was 10, but they were playing instruments and writing a song by the end of the week and had never even touched a drum kit or anything. And they managed to do it. And it was just really inspiring for me. But I also, and at that point I just played bass, but now I play all the instruments. And, all of the kids that I had taught bass to that year, they ended up getting basses, like, and playing bass, and then asking their parents if they could I could be their teacher. So like I didn't even put myself out there as a teacher. Their parents called me and were like, hey, can you come to my house and teach my kids? So it started really organically like that. And then I was having a hard time finding women musicians to volunteer, because then again, it's like, okay, well, all the musicians, they all actually have day jobs too. So it's a lot to juggle. And then I'm like, well, I can't find a drum teacher, so I guess I'm just going to have to learn how to play drums. Well, we taught 10-year-olds last year, so I can do it. And so I just started learning everything so I could teach it.
So you kind of teach yourself so you could teach them, or learn as you went along.
Yeah. And
Hey, man,
I
wing it.
figured out that I'm just I'm naturally oriented to be a teacher. And I didn't know
Have you learned
that.
any other
That's
instruments?
awesome.
Yeah, I can play drums, guitar, I sing, I play flute. What? Bass
Ooh,
is
you
my
know what
favorite.
a great flute solo is? Is Nicolette Larson, Lot of Love, written by Neil Young. Great
Really?
flute solo. Yeah, man.
I'm really into Lizzo right now, and she slays the flute.
Yeah. Well, that was 42 years ago also, so just letting you know.
Yeah. But I got a question for Jade about, because breweries, I know you play a lot of breweries.
I
And
think
then you
I-
play a lot of other
I
places, but
play like 2 breweries.
really?
So the brewery circuit is not my jam.
Really?
Yeah. I've never really figured that one out.
See, I was figuring you would play a lot of breweries just because I know you do some solo stuff. And
I
then you
do
the other
solo
stuff,
full
but-
time.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I figured breweries would be like calling you to have
Breweries are huge, but I prefer like kind of hole in the wall local businesses.
you come in. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
that's a you thing.
A
You're
place
not-
where they
That's
might
a
come
neat
see
thing.
you as
Okay.
opposed to you're just happen to be there
Yeah,
at the same time.
I don't like
I'm
being
with you,
I don't
man.
like being background music, and a lot of the people that come to breweries are not my cup of tea. Like my music taste and the genre that I typically like to play, it is more targeted towards 50-plus-year-old people that are drunk and disorderly. And those are my favorite kind of people. You know, the ones that get drunk and then grump at the bar, and then they tell you war stories, and they're like, "You're pretty all right, kid."
You're a people's
You know,
person.
like yeah.
Yeah.
I like those guys.
Like the bar scene in Blues Brothers with the chicken wire.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
okay. All right.
See, yeah, and then yeah, going to playing. There's a couple places in South End that I play, and I like them because I like the staff. I'm big on staff.
Okay.
I like the staff, but that's what she said. But
Those are your words.
yeah, it's okay. We're all friends here.
Okay.
So, but the kids, man, the kids in South End that like up and moved to Charlotte and are paying for like $1,000 apartments and 4 of them together in one place, and they're like, let's go drink at this new bar down the
Yeah.
place where you can pour your own beer and pay $70 for it and get wristbands.
Per quart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you play there, and they're like, do you know how to play Old Town Road? I'm like, do you know how to get out of my face, kid?
So,
Like-
so where do you like to play? What that would bring me to this question of where do you like to play then? Like, where's some of your favorite places?
There's a joint that just opened not too long ago. I think they celebrated their anniversary on Cinco de Mayo, actually, and it's called Doria's, and it's a locally owned place. They're near Baxter Village in Fort Mill, and they're a family. So it's a wife, her husband, Jen and Vic Dioria, and they've got their kids there.
Are they in Baxter or are they on,
No, they're
160
they're
right
down
there?
160 right
Okay.
there. Yeah,
I know where it is.
yeah.
Okay.
It used to be an old shag club, and now they just got pool tables in there. They do renovations. They're
Shag
real
in the British sense or the
shag
Hilton
in the,
Head sense?
in the Hilton Head sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you guys on the internet can't see my cool dance moves. My
Or
jazz
us
hands.
thumbs downing everything about Charlotte that we hate.
Precisely. Yeah, they're great. I love playing there. I love playing at Beantown. They've always been really supportive towards the music community.
That's over on
In
Independence near
Matthews.
51.
That's over, and it's right in Town Square in Matthews.
Okay.
Yeah. The Gaskins are the people who own that place, and they've
They have
always
WEC,
been.
don't they? Don't they have beef on WEC?
I have no idea.
It's like one of the only places in
She
Charlotte that
doesn't
has
eat
beef
there,
on
she just
WEC.
plays
yeah, I don't eat
She
meat.
doesn't eat there. She just plays there.
I'm hungry now, buttholes.
But yeah, they're great, and they have live music every day of the week. They do twice on the weekends. They do big music festivals. They're super supportive of their community, and they're just really great people.
Do you live out that way, out near Mint
I
Hill, or
live
you
like
live?
10 minutes from here.
Okay.
I live on West Side.
What area are you living in now, Krystle? You don't have to give us your address.
I live
or
in Mint
anything.
Hill.
Okay.
And
That's where I used to
I've been
live.
doing the open mics with Lady Rockstars. We do that at Mochi's on Shannon Lee's open mic, and she's amazing.
She is the greatest.
And that is a huge, awesome community too. Every
Yeah,
time we go there, all the
she
musicians
is.
that come, like they're always so supportive. And
She's built an empire there. When people ask me what they should do as far as getting started playing music is concerned, how to book shows, what to do, go to an open mic, and I tell them either go to Smokey Joe's on a Tuesday to go network, not to book shows, but to meet some of Charlotte's like best cats, and then go to Moochie's on a Tuesday night and talk to Shannon Lee and network there and play there, because that's how you're going to meet people to build a band. That's how you're going to network and ask where to play and who to talk to. I mean, those are some of the greatest people that you could possibly meet.
Is that how you guys met the bands that you've played for? Going to places like open mics?
That's how I guess I've been asked to be in the bands that I've been in. So that's how they've like found me. They know of me.
Right, I got you.
You know.
so my actual Hilton Head band, that story's kind of weird. Like,
Is that Fred or Richard?
Fred was like, we're gonna play the talent show, like, and then we learned like a Marilyn Manson song, and we're like, yeah,
That's great.
which does not fit the name Fred.
Okay, so what we're looking at, the equivalents in Swedish music would be from Nihilist to Entombed. Got it now.
But I was really self-conscious, and I was scared to play out, and I had stage fright really bad. So I just like shut that out. I'm like, I'm gonna make art, and then I can make the thing and put it out, and I don't have to be there. when
In that
people
talent
see
show
it.
gig for Fred, what did you play? Did you play or sing?
Bass.
Okay. I didn't know if that went that far
Yeah.
back. Okay.
Yep.
Where did Fred come from?
I don't
Okay,
remember.
that's fine. I
What
just
about Richard?
thought maybe
A bunch of teenage boys I was playing music with. Those 2 times.
And the first band we were in was I was playing in a duo with this guy named Kelly Mullen, and one of my girlfriends, her boyfriend is a big metalhead, and he is insanely talented. He wins the guitar solo thing at the it's not at Epicenter. They call it Epicenter now. He wins the guitar solo thing every year there. Kid's insanely talented. He's not a kid. He's older than I am. But he wanted to get into the bar gig to just make some side money. So we put a band together and we called it Free Beer. So that was our band, because if you put it on a
poster.
Yeah,
people
you know
come.
that's a little misleading and genius at
Yeah.
the same time.
yeah. But we played a whopping 1 show at the guy who owned it, he sold the place, but it was some kind of billiards in Matthews, and it was great. And I forget. what
Did
it
y'all
was
just
called.
have your names as the name of the group, or
Yeah,
did you have a
free-
gig
free
like
beer.
Richard or Ricardo?
Free beer.
Free Beer?
But I mean, after that, did you do anything else with it? I
Nope,
should've-
that was the only show we ever did.
Got it.
Tensions broke the band up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
the
new
beer was
band,
actually
I
cheap.
found, I met the people through Girls Rock. So it's like Girls Rock leadership. We just kind of jammed, and
That's awesome.
yeah. And we have 5 songs now, and we're probably going to play Tommy's open mic within the next month. And then
Nice.
my music space is going to our grand opening is September 21st. It's a Saturday.
Okay.
And we're going to play, like, that's our first gig.
Is that an actual physical location you'll have?
Yeah.
Okay.
My spot is at on East 22nd Street.
Okay.
So Paul and Ruth Ava Lyons, they like started Noda with like a couple other artists in the early 80s, I guess. So they bought this like old factory, and then they came back from like an artist residency in Thailand. They were like, we want to bring this to Charlotte and create a space where artists can come and create in like little studio spaces, kind of like this space. And so they like renovated this factory and then put an art studio there. And then they ended up buying, like, that's when all the artist spaces started to form in Noda. And so like as everything started building up, and really pretty much once they announced the light rail, they were kind of like, okay, this area is going to get like ridiculous. So they got a property on 22nd Street. It's like close to Amelie's, across from Cordella Park.
Okay.
And there's a new wine bar that's going to open up there. And then across the street from that is this really cool house that we call Rock on 22nd. So it's My Business Packeter Music Lab and then Girls Rock Charlotte in the same house. And we got like crazy sponsorship to renovate this house. This house is like 100 years old, because
Wow.
back in the day it used to belong to, or it was like a mill manager's house, because that was all textile factories.
Yeah.
And it's just like this really cool piece of history. And our backyard goes really long, and it feels like you're in the woods because there's so many trees. There's like a bamboo forest. But they just built a stage in the backyard for us because we got sponsored by DPR Construction. So we've gotten like $50,000 worth of donations
Wow.
for renovations for this house.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's killer. And the space is it just feels really good in there.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Something to go back to the beginning is, what were your influences growing up? Like, what got you both into music, and then even now, I know you said you're into Lizzo right now.
Well, I mean,
but like
yeah.
what, like growing up, what really influenced you guys to get into
Trent
music?
Reznor.
Okay.
Excellent.
Oh man, I don't know. I went to an arts high school, and I went to Northwest, right down the street,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just being there is just kind of like inspiration. You don't really have an option to not do
Yeah.
something artistic. So I did everything like musical theater there, but never really had a draw to actually play music or
Did you have a favorite singer or group? Or maybe we can rephrase the question.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I like a little bit
Like a
of
lot of
everybody.
stuff.
I was a snob.
Yeah, I
Me
was
too.
never.
like,
Still
I like
am.
9 Inch Nails. Like, if you don't like, get away from me.
Yeah, there was nobody I really fangirled over growing up. Now I'm like super nerd out over certain artists. But then I guess like all we studied was like Duraflay or like Vivaldi. So I guess my biggest influences were more classical, just because of the technicality that came with the vocals and theory and precision, breathing, all sorts of techniques like that were things that I admired, especially artists who wrote very strictly in like a staccato, where it was very dynamic and difficult for you to just challenging for you to be able to breathe and execute notes correctly. So I guess that was the most, I don't know, inspiring thing for me as a musician, because it challenged me vocally.
Well, a lot of the classic masters were disturbed, just like Trent Reznor.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you ever?
Tool,
This is
for
probably
sure.
before you were born,
Primus
but
as well.
Trent Reznor did an interview in Spin magazine once, and he said that this was probably like 1998, and he took himself off of antidepressants because he realized one day it just wasn't normal to be happy all the time. I thought that was
probably
bizarrely
framed
genius.
that
Yeah.
interview and hung it in my bedroom.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like when I was really into
Yeah.
it. It was like, late 90s and stuff.
Yeah, and I remember already. I saw 9 Inch Nails at the first Lollapalooza in 1991,
Hell yeah.
and it was something. It was something else, and I was already into it, but I was real into it. And then I read that interview, and I was like, "Man, this guy's got it figured out," while
His-
also being
The
disturbed.
new stuff's great.
Oh, it's
too.
amazing. Yeah.
It's so
Oh, yeah.
so awesome. Yeah, well, anything that was like super like I loved Primus a lot when I was a kid, and then Chili Peppers. I really like the Beastie Boys, but I really didn't get into hip hop until I moved to Hilton Head, because I went to go see this band play, and it was 4 Piece and a Biscuit. I would go see them play with my roommate, and we would just go see them play because we could dance to it.
Yeah.
And it was like mostly like 90s hip hop. And I was at we ended up hanging out with them a lot, and one of the guys in the band like had an acoustic bass, which I never even knew those existed. And I was like, oh, can I play it? And I started playing it like a Tool song, and he was like, what the fuck? You can play. And then he was just around all the time because he dated my roommate, so he kept teaching me their songs, and I learned their songs. And he's like, you're better than our bass player, and they kicked him out and then brought me in the band. And then I realized
That's so rock and roll.
Yeah, I love hip hop now
Yeah.
because the bass lines are so fun to play.
Yeah.
Is that what pulled you into wanting to play the bass? Was like just listening to Trent Reznor?
Well, I think what pulled me into wanting to play the bass was I was really intimidated by guitar because it's really weird to start playing, and I didn't like, my family was poor. They wouldn't pay for me to have a teacher. So when I had a guitar laying around, I just couldn't figure it out, and I didn't have anybody to teach me. But bass was like, oh, it's just one note at a time, and I can figure it out. That was like right as the internet was starting to exist, so I could sort of read tabs a little bit, and I could wait 20 years for shit to download off Napster, and like started to like hear it and figure
Less
it
than
out.
dial-up. Hey, that's a good band name, by the way.
Less than dial-up.
Slower than dial-up. How about that?
Sure, if you got it. So I know you both have families and you both have kids. How does balancing? Because you do a bunch of stuff.
Well, I do stuff with kids.
Well, right, and then you're playing music all over the place.
Yeah.
So how do you guys? And you just got married. And how do you guys balance? All the jobs and the stuff you're doing and teaching the kids, and then your own kids and family. How tough is that to do? Or is it not tough?
It's tough.
It's hard.
I'm
yeah.
going through a divorce right now, and I mean, like, everything's shifted for me. So it's, I work. Sunday's my day off, and every other day I work 11 to 12 hours a day. And like,
Do you just mandate that? You say, I'm not doing anything on Sunday, even if I feel like I want to, I just won't do it. Give yourself that one day a week.
Sunday's like my day. I can
Yeah.
choose. I have a choice, but
Okay.
it's like
Yeah.
Monday and Tuesday I do this thing, and then I stack lessons all these other days, and then I have like this other flex space where I can do stuff. But I mean, it's just me. It's like I don't have any money coming in other than my own, so I just have to hustle my ass off.
Yeah.
And
Know that
like
feeling.
I have the space, so that like I started the lab like when I had my daughter, and she was she was 2 when I opened it, so she just came to work with me every day. And so I created like curriculum and classes based around like her nap schedule and stuff.
Would you bounce stuff off of her and try to teach her stuff and see how she responded?
Well, I
Maybe she was
created
your
a whole
test.
well, I realized one, kids songs are annoying as fuck.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to sing the
Worst.
itchy. So I
into
started.
that
I'm like,
Baby
I'm
Shark
gonna.
shit?
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna make a baby class for kids, and it's like, then I started learning kid songs, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill myself. This is terrible. And then I put the class on, and then the parents would sit there like, oh my god, and I'm playing it like, oh my god, and the kids are like, yeah. But then whenever I listen to Primus and stuff, Cadence is like bouncing off the walls, like
Mason
she loves it.
Fall asleep in the car to Flocking Molly. I'm like, how are you like this?
So I'm like, you know what? We don't need like to play kids'
Yeah.
music to kids. Actually, so I created this class called Baby Punk where I just play songs that I like, and I like use kazoos for the lyrics, and then I create little games and stuff. Like I base it off certain bands. So there's like a Black Sabbath one and a Radiohead one, and I'll play all this stuff and loop it. And then we have baby mosh pits where they just like jump into beanbags. We do crowd surfing. So I'll like big kids stand up and
The
put
crowd
their arms
surfing's
up.
2 feet off the ground?
Oh yeah, well you like take the little infant babies over top, and I give them all tattoos, and it's fun. Like the parents have a really good time too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It doesn't seem necessarily like work because you're having fun.
No, I love it. I know. I mean, I want to get to the point, and I will, because now I'm in NODA, and I'm just in the middle of it. Because before I was in Indian Trail, and it's like a drive, but I was still like managing because my stuff's so niche, like nobody else is doing it. But I ultimately get to the point where I can have this class. I can bring other women that are moms that are musicians in to like make side money too, and teach them how to do it. So I want to build like a franchise basically where I can employ women musicians who can do that and bring their kids to work, because it's really hard to like pay for childcare.
Yeah.
I mean, unless like you have family to help you out, like you're screwed. I didn't have anybody here to help me out, and like I mean, my daughter, she's like, I'm just lucky because she's really, really easy and chill.
Yeah, Mason's a really chill kid too. Like there are times where even now, like finding childcare, you have so many people who are like, "Hey, I'll watch your kid." Like, you know, whenever you need it, like if you need time, and you hit them up, and they're like, just crickets. No, nobody wants to watch your children. No one does.
No, I'm going to the Fred show.
Yeah, yeah. So I've brought Mason to like patio shows before, and like he'll come out with me, you know, on a Saturday or a Sunday or something like that, and he'll crawl in my guitar case or like lay underneath my feet like while I'm playing, and people love him. People ask me all the time, "Is Mason coming out today?" But I had a normal like regular person job when I
Those suck.
Right? Like, as soon as he was born, I stepped into a job that was like one that you needed a 4-year college education to get into. But I weaseled my way into this place, and I was working in the sales department for a contract packaging and third-party logistics company up off of Statesville Road. And I worked there from 7:30 till 4:30 every single day, like Monday through Friday. And then I would play shows on the weekends. And the people that were in my life who would occasionally watch Mason, if I played shows and I said, "Can you watch him while I'm playing this show?" They'd go, "You're selfish. Like, you're doing this for you. You're not doing this for your son." I'm just like, dude, I can do something that makes me feel good about myself and then also pay me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry
That's
your
no
job.
different than going to work in a second part-time job.
Yeah, I was like,
Nothing
if your job sucks your soul out of you, that's your problem.
But not only did it make you feel good and pay you, but like that could be your job, and you
Yeah.
could do it full time and make that
There
money.
are so
and pay
many
f-
people.
your,
That's
support
why,
your
like,
family.
that's
And
no
it's good
offense.
for your
like,
kid.
Absolutely.
Like your kid sees you like being creative,
For
being
sure,
being
yeah.
out in the community, gets inspired by it. Like my daughter all she wants to do is watch YouTube videos of concerts.
That's awesome.
I'm sure it directly correlates to her growing up situation.
Well, yeah, and you know, Mason was probably my biggest inspiration when people ask me like why I wanted to play music. There was never a moment in my life where I was like, I want to play music for a living, because growing up in Mint Hills, I don't mean to bash where you're living, but that's like where I grew up. And the people there are like, "Oh, that's just a pipe dream. Like, that's unrealistic." Like, even still, I go to my hometown, and I was there last week with my family at the church that I grew up in. And my son was attending like a vacation Bible school
What
there.
denomination?
Presbyterian, man.
Yeah.
Old money. And they're great people, don't get me wrong. I have to say that for the Lord. But they're great people. They're great people, don't get me wrong. But man, they still look at me and they go, "Jade, what are you doing?" Dude, I've had the same job for over 6 years.
Yeah.
I've owned my own business for over 6 years.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What are you doing?" The same thing I've been doing. And they go, "Well, what is that?" And I was like, "I play music for a living." But then I've learned to rephrase that into, I own 2 businesses. One is music and the other one is art. And I do them both full time. And we are very successful.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
real money, not for play.
Yeah, it supports me and my family.
Yeah, for
Krystle,
sure.
I had a question. With the girls rock thing and the new location up in NoDa, you talked about bringing other women and mothers in. Will you have a daycare type thing where you could,
No.
other women could watch while you practice, or just the kids would be in there with you?
Well, it's not big enough.
Okay.
And plus, that's like a crazy insurance liability thing. Like, I can't
Absolutely. Yeah.
make it a daycare. But like, I mean, if I could bring, like, I just brought in another teacher, Barb, and she is awesome. And she's got 2 kids. And I mean, by all means, she could bring her kids to work with her
Right.
if she wanted.
But is there a space for them to be, like, just over where you can see them playing or something like that? Just a little extra space for them is all I'm asking.
Well, the way I have it is like I have cameras, so
Gotcha.
you can have like a baby monitor basically with you, or you just need to come see it.
Oh, will?
There's like,
Yeah, we will.
there's
Can I bring my
two
kid up
big
there?
rooms downstairs, and I can
That's
just
neat.
pull toys out. Yeah, you can bring your kid.
I'm this kid.
I usually
He's an
we
unchained
teach
werewolf.
upstairs though, and the steps are like, they're old, they're cool, but they're like not
Narrow
kid
and
friendly.
steep,
Like
yeah.
I baby gate that off, so they can't go up there.
That's the craziest thing to me about there's so many jobs where you would think that you'd be able to bring your kid, and they're like, "Oh, absolutely not." There's like freelance home cleaning businesses, which was a lot of things that I was looking into because it got to the point where I couldn't afford childcare anymore with my real job that I had. These are air quotes for the
Yeah.
internet. With my real job.
Duly
I'll
noted.
just put a video of you. And
Yeah,
you're going,
that'll be the tab of the
Yeah.
video. Everything Jade says is in air quotes because none of it's true. No, but there's just so many jobs that you'd think where you could just bring your kid, and you look for all of those. When you're a mom, you look for every single one of them, trying to figure it out. and they're like, oh, no way, you can't bring your kid here. So having something like
I had
that.
a full-time job with benefits. Like, I was managing a Victoria's Secret, if you can believe it or not. Not for me at all, but I was doing it, and like, it paid for the birth of my child. But then when it came down to it, I'm like, look, I can pay somebody. Like, basically, I can pay somebody to raise my kid for me, and I'm going to come out with, like, an extra $300 a week.
And then when
like,
are you going to spend time?
No.
What's the point of procreating if you don't get to hang out with them? Like, that makes no sense at all. So when I started, I pushed myself to play music full time so that I could hang out with my kid during the day. Because it's not only is it anybody else's responsibility, but that's no one else's privilege. Like, they didn't birth that kid. That's not their right to hang out with them and get to spend time with them. Like, that kid's cool.
I had 13 kidney stones. Does that count as birthing a kid?
No, man.
Not at once, Krystle.
If it was like,
stare.
isn't it like the size of a lemon coming out of your nose?
Oh,
Have you had a lemon-sized kidney stone?
No, stop. No.
All right, man.
No, I don't
It's supposed to be as painful as childbirth.
Kidney stones? No,
I've
dude.
heard that.
They said that having a baby is like having a lemon come out your nose. So maybe like a tangerine come out your wiener.
It wasn't nearly that big, nor is. Never mind. Anyway, it hurt.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
So what else do you guys do other than your 700 things you're involved with and 700 things you're involved with?
Do you have anything you do for fun?
Yeah. I mean, obviously you hang out with your kids for fun when
Yeah.
you can, but I mean, I know
I did the She Says podcast soundtrack.
Okay.
That was pretty
cool.
cool.
That's
I
cool.
liked that whole process. I'd like to do more soundtrack work. It was fun.
I'd like to do more fun things. I feel like I'm at the point in my life where I'm starting to understand. I'm really young and I don't have a handle on any of this. All I understand is what you said earlier is the hustle of working for yourself. That's about it. I got that down. But the whole managing self-care outside of that is probably my biggest struggle. Is like taking time for yourself. When do you bathe? Because you're doing 1,000 things. Like, can you shower more than once a week? Is it possible? Are you able to like eat food in general? Can you prepare a meal for yourself and not just your kid?
Can I
'Cause
get more than
microwaving
2
eggs.
hours of sleep?
Yeah, can I get more than 2 hours of sleep? Man, Saturdays are my worst days coming into Sundays because I'll do 2 shows on Saturday. I'll do a patio show and then I'll do an evening show. And sometimes those evening shows, there's one joint that I play that I don't get out of. I get done with the show at 1:30 in the morning. So I get out of there, beeline at home, nap, and then wake up and I'm at church at 7 o'clock in the morning and I have 2 services back to back.
When you do the 2 shows, are they like right back to back too?
There's time for me to maybe get like fast food in between them sometimes. And that's how that that's how that goes.
I'm just discovering
brutal.
now. Well, because now like my life situation's changed. So, and I like had to stay home more, and now I can be a little bit freer. So it's been really cool to just be able to go to shows and like
That's
support
something I
other
wish I could
people.
do. Yeah.
Like I went to Snug Harbor the other day, and I saw Stevie, and they were so freaking good. And then
I love Snug Harbor.
like and I never I was not going to shows, and it's like it's hard when you work so much and you make music too, and then you want to support other artists.
Absolutely.
But
That's
you're
been my
like, you're
biggest
tired.
regret. Yeah, my biggest regret is not being able to get out to all the open mic scenes that pushed my success. And I try to like give back to those as often as possible. If I can volunteer for one of those when I'm on an off night, like I try my best. But it's rare. And then trying to get out to see people play or getting out to a show in general is always tough.
I feel like I'm at like this impasse where I'm realizing, because like I've been hard at it. Like I'm gonna change the fucking world. I'm gonna like inspire girls and transgender youth, and I'm gonna like, and I have had this crazy drive to like build this thing, and the thing is built now, and like I'm ready to like bring people in. Like I'm ready to hire people so like I can have a life, because this past year, like I had this realization that like I'm not my mission. Like I am not my music. I am a separate being that needs to rest and have friends and have a life. And like I am, of course, like all those things make up who I am, but like I'm like, I know I have my one day off right now. I'm working toward a goal though. And
Absolutely.
I'm like, I have to work my ass off to like, but I also want to create something that like I can bring other people into it. 'Cause the whole thing isn't for me. Like the whole thing is for others as well, but I've like put myself on the back burner for a long ass time.
For sure.
Well, I've been there. I've been in the same situation.
Yeah.
Very much so, even right up until the very
I
recent
think every
past.
business owner is going to have
Yeah.
that issue.
My particular one was I didn't pay my dues on certain things when I was younger, like you guys. I'm about to graduate college after 32 years. I stopped working at the bar I was at for 5.5 years, and that was taking all my time on the weekends and all my time at night. And I didn't have time to go to shows, and I didn't have time to devote to the things Brian and I do with our business and our side ventures with music. So once I changed some things around and decided, hey, I'm almost done with school, I can do this, I can stop at the bar. A lot of fast, positive changes. No, it was a good thing anyway. You have to pay your dues,
absolutely,
whether it's
yeah.
financially or emotionally or mentally, and life goes on.
I mean,
all the while.
I worked for a cybersecurity company here in Charlotte and made good money. And one day I went home to my wife and I was like, listen,
I hate it.
I hate it. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go full-time contract, design work. Tom and I are starting a T-shirt company. Is that cool? She was like, yeah, do it. And
Sure,
I was
why
like,
not?
all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, life's too short to
yeah.
just like
That's-
grind on through. And
That's the biggest thing I say to people, man, is that
once
you're
you
gambling.
make the space, like once you say, you commit and you say, okay, like I'm done, like I'm just gonna take the leap. Like I feel like you never know how you're gonna end up, like how things are gonna meet you. And
For
like
sure.
everything has just like risen to me this past year. It's been a crazy year for me, and like I did a fucking TED talk, and like that was insane. That's like
I thought that was
been
a
on
Fred talk.
right back in the day. But like that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in
Yeah.
my life. And
How did that come about? Did they approach you? And
Well, my friend Laura Americo, she did one a couple years ago,
She's so awesome.
and she knew I was like a talk junkie. Like I love listening to podcasts and talks and stuff. And she was like, Krystle, you got to do this. It's time. And so I like applied, and then I made it to the next round. I'm like, well, there's no way I'm going to make it. And then I kept making it through the rounds.
Do you submit a recorded version of it, or do you submit it in writing, or just the concept of it? Or where do you send it? Where did they do it?
You have an application. Actually, I think they're accepting applications now for this year if you want to give a TED Talk.
oh God,
Man, please. I worked the room blue.
There's an application, and then you have to submit like a video that you made. And I did like a video where I got the scholarship to do Marie Forleo's B School, which is like it's really fucking cool. And like I got accepted out of like 2,000 people. They chose 17.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
and so I
wild.
had that video, and then I submitted it with my like, I don't even know what I wrote, because I was like sweating, shaking, typing this shit out. And then
You must have been the smartest motherfucker ever come out of Fayetteville, West Virginia.
probably
By far. I mean, it sounds like it, man.
Well, so I did that, and then you have to make a 5-minute speech. And so my 5-minute speech ended up being nothing like what my actual speech was. It was like how to rewire your brain to dismantle the patriarchy. So I had this crazy theory, and I did all like this polling and shit. But anyway, it like I went through. If you just watch it, I won't go into, because it's like it's a lot. It's pretty heavy, but it's about like how my sexual assault as a teenager, like how I latched on to music, and it ended up healing me. And now I use that to like create that same situation for other people so they can heal too. And so I give examples of people that I met along the way, but I didn't know I was going to talk about it until I did that She Said soundtrack, because like Sarah reached out to me, which I met her here, like it was like in a room like this. We went in a closet that was like this, and she was interviewing me for Lady Rockstars, and afterwards she was like, I was just like, so I know this is weird, but will you be my friend? She was like, yeah, I'll be your friend. I like you too. It was really awkward. So, then she asked me to do the soundtrack, and I'm like, I've never done anything like that. She's like, well, I've never done a podcast before. Like, let's just do it. And then she sent me the story, which it's about like this woman navigating sexual assault, like within the system, and how fucked up it is. And she sent me that initial thing, and it really made me like, it triggered me, and it made me go back into my stuff. So I like channeled that when I was writing the music for it. And it ended up being this really long healing process for me. So whenever I came on the other side of it, like some other things accumulated. I'll tell people about it at some point. But like some cool stuff happened. And then it was just like I knew that I had to tell that story in my TED Talk. And so it like whenever I wrote everything out and I like figured out what I was trying to say, I like helped me figure out who I was, because I wasn't really sure at that point. And so it just like got everything like lined up right. And ever since that, then it's just been opportunity after opportunity, and I just keep going and going.
Free your mind, your ass will follow.
Yep.
We'll put up a link to that TED Talk, by the way.
Cool.
And also, of course, we'll be promoting.
It's called
Girls
Women
Rock.
Turn Up the Volume.
Okay.
All right.
That's awesome.
When's the grand opening of the new place?
September 21st.
Did it take you a long time to pick that spot, or?
No, it was another one of those like, that's why you just can't know how things are going to happen.
Right.
Because I like my business in Indian Trail was so tied into my ex-husband. I knew I was already ready to sacrifice everything I'd built to leave the relationship. And so I just kind of said, okay, I'm going to put this out there. And then it like said, here, Krystle, here you go. Here's this thing that I'm like, I don't have any money. Like, I don't know how I'm going to place a NOTA. Like, I never even, like, I used to dream about that being, like, an option. But then, the past few years, I'm like, yeah, right. Like, I can afford it. But Paul and Ruth, like, they're legit really good people. And they want to build, like, a cultural center, like, a thing, like, they want that street to be, like, what NOTA once was.
Yeah.
And have, like, be
Back
their
in the Fat
final
City
little
days.
legacy that they're going to leave. So they're creating this artist space. And they've, like, really been super kind and supportive. And, like, now that I'm in the same building as Girls Rock, like Girls Rock is the main place, leaseholder, right? So that the building itself is a nonprofit organization. So we're able to get like all of these donations. I can give people tax deductible receipts if they like donate to the building.
That's awesome.
Right?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's
I'm going to
so
need a
awesome.
write-off.
So that's why I'm saying
It's one of the
you don't
greatest things
you don't
about owning your
know
own business.
Yeah.
you don't know how like things are going to happen. You just have to like jump into it.
Right.
Do you ever do anything with School of Rock? Have you ever met any of those people? Do you know them at all?
No, I love School of Rock though, because I get
Yeah, they're
like I
great.
know their kids. Like
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good stuff about them, and I know some of the teachers there, and that's
Yep.
really cool. That
Yep,
that's
Johnny
here.
Wicker is one of the main guys over there now, and George Banda, he's good. So
I
we
love
gotta-
George.
Yeah,
George is a talented motherfucker.
yeah, he
We're
is.
about to do some shirts for him, and boy,
I saw-
it's his mind.
It is wild. His songs are insane. I got to see him for the first time at like a songwriter showcase, and like we were saying, because we never get out to see music. I don't know who any of these guys are. I mean, I knew who the older guys were because I like grew up with them and everything. But George was there, and I had no idea who he was, and he starts playing, and I was like. You
Yeah.
guys can't see me on the internet, but I'm making like a big O face because it was just crazy.
Well, I know Phil. Phil teaches there too. What's his last name? He's in Modern Moxie now, and I started to see them at the Evening Muse, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, I just can't wait to buy people's like albums and stuff like.
There's
that.
talent
yeah.
out there, man.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was
So
talent.
much.
That's one thing with me doing, like us doing our own thing now, is like I'm trying to make it a point to at least go to 3 local shows a month. And I just went. There's a band in here called Prep and Barium. They're a heavy band, and we love the guys. But they had a show a couple nights ago at Milestone, and this band was in there called Vortex of Old Men.
If you haven't seen Vortex of Old Men, go see that.
I just
want
cannot.
to
I just
now.
can't get
Prepare
over.
to be thoroughly impressed because it's
I
a
don't
bunch
buy
of
a
The
lot of
visual
local-
though is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it was awesome. I don't buy a lot of local bands' T-shirts. I really don't. But I bought everything they had on their table. I was like, these
That's
guys
crazy.
are fucking sweet.
And being in here has allowed us to, like he said, meet some cool people, be able to see some cool shows. But then every once in a while, you get to see something that just blow your mind.
Yeah.
Adrian Crutchfield. There's another band in here, Winter's Gate. It's just like it's right up my alley, man. Just disgusting, just thoroughly deathly death metal, and to have them juxtaposed back to back with the former saxophone player for Prince and Lionel Richie and Bette Midler. It's a great time. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
saw when I
that's
saw
fun stuff.
Adrian in there. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, and
That's
he's
one thing
crazy
I
too. He's
used
still
to
on
love.
HBO from his mama.
It's like walking down the hallway in here is just like
Yeah,
this
the
really
meeting all
interesting
the people.
soundtrack.
Yeah, it's nuts, man.
Well, Tom and I started doing these showcases that I used to do for my other business, and when we moved in here, we made it a point to basically like book shows at certain places, book 4 bands, sell tickets, give the bands the ticket
Split the money.
We just did a show at Hattie's, and we're doing another one this Saturday. But you know,
Saturday,
to
August
bring
17th.
170 people to Hattie's on a Saturday night is kind of cool.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing
Dude,
now.
congrats, man. That's
Thanks.
badass.
Yeah.
But that's and tickets for $5. You know, who doesn't
Yeah.
want to go see 4
Yeah.
bands for $5?
I always
And
tell the bands, you might not make a lot, but
Is
you
the
make
stage
something.
still in there?
it's
Nah.
not a stage.
Nah.
It's
No.
like a riser.
It's kind of a corner.
Nah,
No, it's
nah,
floor
it's
level.
not even?
Nah.
I think
That-
somebody might have been tripping over it or something.
Look, there's a pool table over there to the right when you're looking at it, and it's broken, so they can't even move it.
That's a merch table.
So it
Oh,
becomes the
yeah.
merch table,
I've
yeah.
leaned up again.
Yeah, it becomes the merch table. now.
Thank you for breaking it.
Yeah, that was probably me. Yeah.
But we've even done shows at Oso Skate Park. I don't
That
know
was
if
a fun
you're familiar
show.
with that place,
That's
but
wild.
Yeah, it's like really narrow and long, and to get 80 people in there, it's.
The acoustics in there are, whew,
yeah, it's weird.
it's really hard to hear the vocals.
Yeah.
But if you open the back door at just the right time on a Saturday night, your opening act can have his opening statement interrupted by a train going by.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
really
Awesome.
cool to have like
Yeah.
skaters just all around the band.
Yeah, and there were
too.
some people skating
Yeah,
while we were doing
I saw
it.
Mercury Dimes in there not too long ago, and actually Sharon Dow, she's doing a mural in there with Girls Rock. Like we're
Cool.
partnering, and there's going to be a Girls Rock mural. The kids are coming to help paint it.
Did
It's-
she do some of the work over there in that building where Oso is? Because they've
she
got some
has one.
crazy
Yeah,
work.
she has one on the wall. Like she's all over Charlotte.
That
She's got all
wall,
kinds of
that
stuff.
one wall in the hallway, they have 3D
The
glasses.
3D,
out there. You
yeah.
can put 3D
You
glasses
can put
on
3D
the walls
glasses on
3D.
it. Just,
That's cool.
That's
don't
crazy.
drink. Don't drink when you go over there.
It's next to that axe throwing place.
Yeah, they have an axe throwing place there.
I
People
want to
getting
go there.
Dude, how can that be a good thing? People getting wasted throwing axes. I know that might
They
go
have, like,
down
a
in
league.
Fayetteville.
Every time I
Yeah,
try to
it's a
go, and I can't get in because the league
They
is
have
throwing.
to. You have to book an appointment to go do those things. Because one day we had like a Sunday free. It was like a very serendipitous thing when a venue calls me and they're like, "Hey, we accidentally double booked you," and I'm like, "Great," because I got the day off. And I never schedule myself any free time, so when that happens, I'm like, "Oh yeah," and so. I told my husband, I was like, we should go throw axes today. And I looked at the schedule, and there was no free time. You have
Yeah.
to, like, call ahead of time, reserve space. Man,
We were vending at a show a couple
Plannings.
weeks ago, and they had a mobile one. Guy had just
That-
a cage
that
that he was
sounds
pulling
dangerous.
in a truck.
It
Mobile
all
axe
sounds
cage.
Yeah,
dangerous.
it was just mobile. I mean, I was like, what is going on?
It takes one wacko
I
that
want
doesn't
an
like the
axe
shirt you're
cage.
wearing.
how do you acquire an axe cage?
I mean, it was just a cage with a board on it, and there were people in there throwing axes. I was like, I don't even know if this guy's regulated to this or if he just showed up. Yeah,
Oh, that's
some-
kind of scary.
some interesting people. But it's kind of all I got for you guys.
I got plenty more, but we're going to wrap it up. Time is money. And,
Ain't that the truth?
well, that was implied, Jade. Thank you.
Well, let's do this too. Jade, where are you playing next?
Yeah.
And where can people find you? And
Where
then
am
we'll do
I
something
playing
with Krystle.
next? I am playing at Iron Thunder in Monroe.
It's Monroe.
Yeah, down in Monroe on Thursday from 7 to 10. Y'all come out. They wear assless chaps. It's a good time.
Do you have any new music coming out anytime soon?
I am in the process of recording an album right now. So
Oddly
it
enough,
is
the title of the
all-
album is Assless Chaps.
All right.
It is not. Though it would probably sell a lot more copies.
It's
if it were.
probably.
Yeah, we might change it.
Chaps.
Website, Instagram, anything like that you want to promote?
Instagram, Jade More Music. Everything's at Jade More Music. Facebook is Jade More Music. All of it. That's what it is.
What about
It's
you,
simple.
Krystle Baller?
Well, the event September 21st. It's from 3 to 6, and
Is it
it's
just open to the public?
Yeah, it's family friendly. So, and we're gonna have little stations of different stuff that kids can.
And
do.
I can bring my boy.
Yeah. I'm gonna do baby punk throughout the day. We're gonna have multiple bands playing on the stage.
My boy's a 9-pound werewolf. Do you understand what I'm?
He's
I
a
don't
dog.
have an
He's a
adult.
dog.
I don't have humans.
Oh well, we're gonna be outside. So yeah.
Yeah, he likes to. He'll just pee on something. It's okay.
Okay.
That
and
that
then
really does sound amazing.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, and yeah, you guys got to see the house. It's just so cool. It's so cool. And the kids, and you guys too, we're gonna have like paint out. We've already started putting handprints on the foundation of the building.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
And then Richard's making music. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, we've got like 5 songs, but we're gonna be playing some open mics, and then we're gonna be playing the grand opening event too. And so my website is Pachyderm PACHYDERM musiclab.com. And then Girls Rock, if you want to know more about that. And we have year-round programming throughout the space. At Rock on 22nd is the name of the building. That's twice a month, one for teens, one for kids, and it's cool. So go to that website, girlsrockclt.org.
We'll put all that up and promote it for you as best we can.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go to the opening.
I'd like to
Come
do
check it
that.
out. Okay, I don't care if you go or
I'm
not.
just saying I'd like to. Might even do it.
All right. Yeah,
Do what I want.
sounds good to me.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Krystle, Jade, thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for being a great example to other people who are, maybe paying their dues now and maybe getting a little overwhelmed and maybe need something to inspire them to not get uninspired.
Thanks.
Does that make any sense?
No. Thanks for
Okay.
asking for permission before profanity.
Yeah. Yeah, like we give a shit, dude.
Yeah.
All right, thank you,
guys.
ladies. All right,
Thank
we're
you.
signing off. Brian, thank you for nothing.